Hello everybody, welcome to Fruitful Trees, my channel here, and it's raining out so I didn't get in the yard today, but I have something I found on Facebook that a local person answered who has a wonderful nursery, but I just wanted to talk a little about this topic. So the topic says, the question was, what trees give the best production, or what fruit trees give the best production with the least amount of effort spread throughout the year? So that's the question. What trees give the most production with the least amount of effort that's spread throughout the year? And it's a great question and a great thing to know because we want trees that are going to last us the most and not just for like 1 week or something. And we want trees that are going to be the least amount of effort. And the person that answered this has a wonderful nursery here in Lockahachy, Florida. And I want to answer this a little and get down what he says. So I'll put his information below so you could check out that nursery if you're in Florida. I'm going to be going there soon to do a video. So he says, so the question, now remember, this isn't what his favorite fruits are necessarily or what fruits he recommends for everyone. We're in Florida and somebody was asking what are the best fruit trees for least amount of effort and give fruit the most throughout the year. And I don't know if he went in any particular order, but it looks like he might have, but maybe not. But he said must-haves is mango. And now mango, I want to discuss each one of these. There's 3 seasons to mango generally. There's early, middle, and late. And depending on what year and when mangoes start, the mango season starts, and that will depend a lot on the winter weather. It could start anywhere from March to April or May each year. But it goes all the way to August, September, October, and maybe even into November sometimes. Usually, though, when it starts, if it starts early, it ends early, and if it starts late, it ends late. But still, you're getting mangoes for a good amount of the year. So we got like March, April, May, June, July. So like 5 months out of the year, you can get mangoes. And if you're going to get mangoes, let's say if you only have room for 3 mango trees, get 3 trees that are in different seasons. Don't get 3 trees for the same season. And that goes with all the fruits that we're mentioning here today. If you can only get 1, some of them have double seasons sometimes. Some are early and then have a second bloom each year. So you want to get something like that for production-wise. But without a doubt, mangoes will grow almost like a weed here. As a matter of fact, I have irrigation at this property. And the other property, I have no irrigation. And I plant mostly mangoes there because I know they do well with not getting watered every day or overwatered, and they do great if you get overwatered them. They're just a easy tree to grow, and unless it's highly susceptible disease varieties of mangoes, they're very easy to take care of and maintain. So I have a bunch of mangoes behind me in my front yard here. I have a bunch of smaller mangoes. And another thing great about mangoes is if you live in a condo or a townhouse or something, you can grow mangoes in pots, particular mangoes, some types. So mangoes. Next, he said avocados. Avocados are another fruit that will bloom all year. Not all year. Avocados are another fruit that'll bloom most of the year. It takes off for a couple of months, but avocado season might be just as long, if not longer, than mango season. And avocados, again, are easy, trouble-free. They do require, I think, a little bit more water in getting established than the mango. And they also don't take standing water well as mangoes might. But once they get established, they're super easy trees. Very little you need to do with them. And there might be some leaf damage that you can get from some diseases, but avocado diseases are actually, from my experience, or at least from my limited knowledge, are less than mango diseases, meaning it happens less often than mango diseases. So avocado might be just as easy, if not even easier, to grow. And now there's a lot of varieties of avocado, but there's much more varieties of mango. But still, avocado have their early season, the mid-season, and the later season. And then another easy one to grow is bananas. Now bananas, they're super easy to grow, and they're very difficult to get rid of. So once you grow them, they keep coming back and coming back and coming back again. As for maintenance-wise of bananas, You want to try to keep them to 3 pups, maybe 4 pups, or 4 little trees, or they can take over everything. And you do need a good amount of water when they're getting established. And some varieties need a good amount of water later on as well. Here comes the rain. Speaking of that. So, but bananas relatively are pretty easy. And another one. Now he has on his list loquat. Loquat's a very easy tree to grow. Very little diseases. Not too many varieties to my knowledge. I know there's a couple of wild loquat trees around here. I've heard people say they absolutely love loquats. Not my favorite fruit, but in terms of ease, it's a good one. You see the rain coming? Okay, so another one is Barbados cherry. I have a Barbados cherry over there. Very easy to grow. It's a nice food, and it definitely at one point was giving me more cherries than any other more fruit than any other fruit in my garden. However, you know, you can sit down and make a meal out of mangoes. Avocado, you can get really full on. Banana, you can get full on. Loquats, maybe you can get satisfied from that. Barbados cherries are more like a snack than a food. They don't really make, you know, they're a good snack, a healthy snack. But, you know, for the amount of space they take, I put something else in. Now the other one is sapodilla. Probably one of the easiest trees to grow. I have 1, 2, 3. I have over about 8 different sapodilla trees. I think I have 4 or 5 different varieties. Very easy tree to grow, and they don't all fruit at once, so that's nice as well. It's a good season. It's nice. Another one is canasteel, also known as egg fruit. There's 4 or 5 very known varieties of egg fruit that are nice, and they're a winter fruit. So I like that about sapodilla and canasteel egg fruit. They're more like winter fruits, so that's a good thing because when you're not in the summer fruit season, it's nice to have some fruit. Now, the absolutely next one is the easiest fruit you can grow. It's on the tree right behind me. Yes, easier than anything. Well, it's behind the one that's behind me, and that is star fruit. Star fruit is absolutely the easiest tree to grow. It has the longest season, or it actually has 2 or 3 seasons, and it tastes great. And, you know, the only maintenance that it takes is you got to keep it trimmed, or it can get super big and super sloppy because all the star fruit falls on the floor because nobody can ever eat that much. When you're looking about amount of food per tree, star fruit probably wins the prize. So star fruit would be that tree, easy to take, maintain. So that's definitely a good tree to have. And then they said papaya. Papaya is not really a tree technically. It's like a weed. And they're super easy to grow, and they give you the food, the quickest. So I was going to say the super fastest. So in 6 months from a seed, you can have a tree with fruit on it, and they can be loaded. Now, not all papayas are the same. There's only a few known varieties of papaya, but on the varieties that even are known, some of them are really sweet and delicious, and some of them have absolutely no flavor at all. So you don't want to get stuck with the wrong one. But they're very easy to grow and maintain. The next one they have here is mulberry. Mulberry is I would put in that same category as the Barbados cherry, where it's a fun food, it's a snack. You know, it's difficult to get full on it. If you could, mulberries are nice. You could dry them. Dried mulberries are really nice, and mulberries are fun to have. It grows really easy. So that's another tree. And speaking of the same thing, the next one is a strawberry tree, which is called the Jamaican cherry. I actually had one and took it out because it grew really big, tasted delicious. These little tiny berries on there tasted like Captain Crunch cereal, but the tree would get so big, and you're just getting these little tiny berries. And if you're looking for a novelty or something, these things are nice. But if you're looking for like real substance, I think you could use this space better if you don't have a lot of space. So the next one he put is a moringa tree. Moringa is a wonderful super green herb. It has so many nutrients and vitamins, and I definitely recommend moringa. It's a superfood. It's very, very easy to grow from a cutting even. You don't even need a seed. You can grow from a cutting, and definitely something you should have on your property. And it's all year. You can get food from it all year. You could powder that food and save it, but it's food on there all year. Now, that was the must-have that he put. And as for the next level, he wrote, known as some things such as custard apples, soursop, sugar apples, and atamoya. Sugar apple grows very quickly from seed. You could have it within a couple of years, maybe. You could have actually fruit. But, and then he put soursop on here. But they all require more work. These trees might require a little bit more work and a little bit more sensitive than the must-haves that he was talking about. He put jackfruit on here. Jackfruit is a wonderful food and delicious, filling. Some varieties will give more fruit than others, but it does take some work. You got to keep them watered pretty well, and they take up a lot of room. But these are the next level trees he talks about. He talks about guava. Guava is not that difficult to grow. In my opinion, not the tastiest of all the amazing fruits out there. But there are different types of guava. And Jabba the Bacaba, which is directly behind me. Jabba the Bacaba. It's delicious. It tastes like a muscovy grape. And I have maybe 5 or 6 on the property, and it's really a wonderful tree. But the problem is with that one, if you get the one that's behind me, the black standard one, it might take 7 or 8 years before you even get one fruit on it. That's a long time to wait. Then I have a red one over there somewhere, and that one take 3 years or 4 years. So that one would be a better choice, and it's a much smaller tree. You could even leave it in the pot if you have to. He put down longan. Longan is a super easy tree to grow, but the problem with longan is it gets way, way big. And there's one over there that's super big. And you got to think of the fruit you're getting off there for the small part of the season, maybe for 1 month, is worth having, using that space for that tree. I actually had more than one, but I took one of them out in my main part because I wanted something else there. The next one here is mamey. Mamey, one of my favorite fruits. Easy to grow, but I wouldn't consider it the best, most productive tree, only because it takes like 8 years to get your first fruits off the tree for many people. So mamey is, and it grows really, really big, the tree. So unless you're making a long-term investment in this, mamey might be something you want to maybe not put at the top of your list. All right, there's 2 more that he had on the list, and then maybe I'll go around and show you some of mine. Next one he had was passion fruit. Passion fruit is actually a vine that grows on anywhere. It just takes over, and the fruits are delicious. If you get one that's self-pollinating, because I had some passion fruit that got everywhere but never got fruit. But it's a good fruit, but personally, the vines I try to stay away from because I don't have that much space and they really take over. So it's maintenance involved. And then the last one he had on his list was white sapote. And that would be one of my favorite fruits of them all. I have about 5 white sapote trees. A lot of people don't know of them. Delicious fruit, and they fruit really well. You could freeze them. I just found out this winter you could freeze them, and they're wonderful. So they get big, so you do have to trim them if you want to keep them at a decent size. So white sapote. And so that's his list of the easiest foods to grow, least maintenance, and most productive for the most part of the year. Now there in the background, there's coconut trees right there in the background. And coconut trees are easy to grow, but again, they might take 7 or 8 years or even longer before you first get coconut. and you get an abundance all year. So from that standpoint, it's wonderful. But I actually got rid of my coconut trees because they were just too big, and I don't have a big property. They took over. There's two problems I have with the coconuts. Number one is if you have a small property, they take up a lot of space. And number two is if you have a big property, you usually forget about them, and they eventually grow so tall where it's pretty difficult to get them out. But let me go around my yard and show you some more things that I actually have and would recommend for that list. Foods that grow abundantly and are easy to grow. All right, so let me show you some of these. Okay, so a lot of things already mentioned were on the list. I have mangoes, I have star fruit. Check this out. I mean, star fruit is just abundant. There are hundreds and hundreds on there, and it's not even a super big tree. But one of the fruits that I did not see on the list was this really cool fruit. This is miracle fruit. Miracle fruit, you think it's a kind of food where you could taste a little of it, and it's just like a berry. And anything you eat that's sour after this for the next 15 minutes will taste sweet. So it's not really a food that's going to fill you up, but it's going to help you want to eat other foods. I love them, and they're easy to grow. They grow in shade. Most of the other trees I mentioned need sun, but these will grow in shade. And as you can see, I have this one here, and I have a big one over there in front of the window. And right now they're loaded with berries. And, you know, these berries are very highly valued because they give them to people that have cancer because they lose their taste buds when they do chemo, and these berries make foods taste really good. So this is another tree here that's probably the easiest tree to take care of in terms of just putting it in the ground and letting it grow. This is a star apple, and there's green and there's purple. So this particular one here is a green one. There's green and purple star apple. It grows a lot, and the season isn't too long, but it's probably the easiest tree to grow. So that's star apple. I'm not going through all my trees here. I'm just going to the ones that give a good amount of fruit and that are easy, but not the must-haves like that list. That was a great list, by the way. So this one here is a jujube. Jujube, also sometimes known as Chinese dates, are like little apples. And they're very popular in California and so on. But to be here in South Florida and have apples is pretty amazing. And in California, sometimes they let them dry, and then they really taste like butterscotch dates. They're just amazing. Or Mary Jane candies. But these, you could eat like apples, and they grow bigger, and they just grow so easily out here. So that's another tree that grows really well. Very little work to actually get the food. So now here's a tree that grows really easy and simple, but it's a lot of work when you get the food. This is an ackee tree. The tree grows great and very little maintenance on the tree, but then when you get the ackee, you got to peel it, you got to wash it. So I would put that on the list if you're looking for a tree that grows really well with little maintenance. But once you get the food, that's another story. So let me see what else here. Of my collection, which ones will fit that list? Oh, I walked right into a spider web. Wow. Okay. Walked right into that one. All right, let's see. Okay. Here's a good one. This is a Grumachama cherry, and this is more of a hedge. So Grumachama cherry, and we already mentioned one of the cherries there, and then so this tree here, very easy to grow, and it gets fruit, but it's a short season, so I don't know if I'd necessarily put that on a list. But Grumachama cherry. Most of the trees I have here are mentioned on that list. So obviously I want to have those trees that are easy to grow. Let's see. I think everything else I have is on that list. So I don't have much to mention unless I do another video about trees, other trees we must have. I got mamey, I got persimmon, I got fig. These are all great foods to grow, but I don't know if they'd necessarily be the most maintenance-free trees or the ones that give you the most fruit throughout most of the year. What else? Yeah, I think, see that? See that soursop? Bam. All right. All right, I think that covers the list. I have a lot of trees here. And I think that was a good list. All right, I'll end under the jackfruit tree. That was a great list. Again, the fellow that wrote that has a good nursery in Lockahatchee. I'll put his contact information below. He also sells trees as well. There's so many people out there that sell trees. It's pretty cool. And yeah, everybody, thanks for watching. What, in your opinion, is the easiest tree to grow that'll give you the most abundance amount of fruit most of the year? And I'm in South Florida, and I just told you what works here for me. Again, I got more than what was on the list, but that list was really excellent in terms of that question. Everybody have a blessed day and keep growing.